know that I love a good romance, and you know that I've been getting more into fantasy romance. So I do love a book boyfriend in all of its genres and subgenres of romance. And you know that I love a bingo board. I mean, who doesn't love a bingo board? So I decided to take these two loves and make my own bingo board that I'm going to share with all of you. This bingo board I have titled the Book Boyfriend Bingo. And obviously each space is a different type of book boyfriend that you can find in romance or fantasy romance or dark romance, whichever type of romance you like to read. This bingo board is not for just a month. It's not like a month-long readathon. It is a take this bingo board, fill it however you would like, and take as long as you want to complete your bingo. It's very laid back. It's just for fun. If you do the bingo board though, can you tag me in the stuff that you post about it just so that I can see you all using it? Because I truly had so much fun making it, and it'll just make me so happy to see you all having fun using it. So obviously there are 9 spots on the Book Boyfriend Bingo board, and each one is a type of book boyfriend that you will find in books. So let's chat about each spot. And I do have a few recommendations for each type of book boyfriend of books that I have enjoyed or would recommend if you like that trope of book boyfriend. So let's dive into each space and let's talk about it. So the first space on the bingo board is the hot nerd. And honestly, this is one that I do enjoy. I have read a lot of STEM romances in my time, and a lot of them feature this trope. Obviously, pretty much all of Ali Hazelwood's books would work for this, but I am going to mention my favorite one, which is Below Zero, which is one of her novellas. This is the only Ali Hazelwood I've ever given 5 stars, and it's sheerly off our main character and our book boyfriend, Ian. Ian is definitely my favorite one of Ali Hazelwood's book boyfriends that she has ever written, and I wish I had gotten a full novel of his. Recently, I also fell in love with another hot nerd, and that is Caleb from Out of the Woods. I love Caleb so much. I did not love the first book in this series, Out on a Limb, as much as so many other people did because unexpected pregnancy is just not my trope. But in that book, you do meet Caleb and you do see him going to D&D, hiding that from his wife because he thinks that she will make fun of him. And honestly, we fell in love with Caleb in that book. Even though I didn't love that book, I fell in love with Caleb. So going to this book and seeing Caleb and Sarah learn to grow through their relationship after being married so young and fight to save their marriage was really a great book to dive into, especially if you love Caleb as much as I did. Then we have the prompt for Forbidden Lover, and I actually have 3 books that I would love to recommend for this. Obviously, there are many reasons why a lover can be forbidden, and any reason is fine. Whatever you think counts, it counts. My first recommendation is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Xaden and Violet are definitely forbidden lovers. I mean, her mother killed his parents and then conscripted him to the military, or she was going to kill him as well. There is no reason why they should be allowed to be together. Nobody wants them to be together. They should hate each other. It's enemies to lovers as well, but it's definitely forbidden. Nobody wants this, but this love happens anyway. Now that's one way that a lover can be forbidden. Another one is Wildfire with Russ and Aurora. These two are forbidden because they are both camp counselors at this summer camp, and they are not allowed to fraternize at the summer camp. The camp counselors cannot be hooking up. They're supposed to be taking care of the children. But, they don't always listen, and we have a romance. And because I did want to show the different ways you can stretch forbidden romances, the other one that I have here is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This follows Lucy and Felix, and Lucy's best friend is Bridget. Felix is his brother. So that is why he is off limits. You don't go hooking up with your best friend's brother. But one summer, Lucy and Felix do end up in PEI, just the two of them. Bridget's family's gone. Bridget doesn't make it. And they are there alone for one summer. Things happen. And then every summer thereafter, as Lucy goes home with Bridget to see the family, things continue to happen where people don't know it's happening. and they hide their relationship. And now we are there for one final summer, and Lucy is like, it's not happening again. This summer will be different, but it's a romance. So I think you can see that it may not be. Now, again, the next space is best friend, and there are multiple ways that you can look and fill this prompt. Whose best friend is the trope? Even This Summer Would Be Different would work because technically Lucy and Bridget are best friends and it's best friend's brother. That totally counts, but I have a couple other recommendations. The first one is The Spare by Ava Ronnie. If you've been around this year, you will know that I fell in love with this series and I'm patiently waiting the third book. This is brother's best friend, but also best friend's brother. So it works both ways. Sloane and Marcus grew up together. Marcus's brother is Xander. Xander is Sloane's best friend, so that's the best friend there. And then also Marcus is best friends with Henry, who is Sloane's brother. So again, that's how we get the best friend's brother, but brother's best friend. Then we have Lovelight Farms, which I don't have my copy of Lovelight in this house. I let my mother borrow it, so we're just going to put it up here. But I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. And it follows 2 best friends who fall in love with each other. Stella owns a Christmas tree farm, and she is trying to get an influencer to come and like feature the farm, win a competition with that influencer. She says that her and her boyfriend run the farm. However, she does not have a boyfriend. So she recruits Luca, her best friend, to be her fake boyfriend. And honestly, this is a romance that has been a long time in the making with these two. And this small town is so fun to be in. And the way their shenanigans play out around this romance sold me from page 1. Another book where we have 2 best friends falling in love is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Now, this one is a different vibe. It's a sadder romance, so bring your tissues. There's a lot that happens in this book, but it follows Macy and Elliot, and they were high school sweethearts, and they would see each other every summer, like when their families went to their beach houses. Something happens that alters their friendship, but now as adults, they are now together again. Well, not together in a relationship sense, but they find each other again out in the world, and they have to mend their friendship, and a romance happens as they do so. The next spot on the board is A Protector, and you can find this in all sorts of areas of romance. I have some recommendations that are both fantasy romance and dark romance, but you can definitely do this with contemporary romance as well. The first one being Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. Our protector is Sarkis. Hala is widowed, and her family is trying to force her to marry someone else in the family so that they can gain the inheritance. She tries to escape this by actually trying to hurt herself with a decorative sword on the wall. When she pulls out this sword, a man comes out of the sword like a genie, and that's Sarkis, and he takes it upon himself to protect her from this fate that she has. My first 5-star of the year was Dark Oz, and there is definitely a lot of ways you could use this series on the board. It is dark romance. Please check triggers. It is Why Choose. And it is a retelling of The Wizard of Oz over 3 books. We have 3 love interests in this book to our Dorothy character, who is Thea, and that is Danny the Lion, Nick the Tin Man, and Crow the Scarecrow. And I will say all of them have their protectory ways. In my mind, you could actually use this to fill multiple prompts on the board. It definitely, between the 3 guys, fits multiple ones. My favorite type of book boyfriend is right here, smack dab in the middle of the board, because it is my absolute favorite, and it is the Golden Retriever. I love a Golden Retriever in a book. It is just the kind of love that I so desperately love to read about. So let's talk about a couple of my favorite Golden Retriever book boyfriends. We're back to the Lovelight Farm series with book number 3 and Mixed Signals, Caleb. Caleb. He is the Golden Retriever in this book. She is actually kind of like Sunshine. She's a baker at the Christmas tree farm, and it's almost like sunshine. It's lovely. It's such a fun book. And I truly love Caleb and just how he absolutely adores Layla. Chef's kiss. Then we're going to go back to the Maple Hill series and to Nate, because Nate is truly, I think, the moment I realized I love the Golden Retriever guy. Honestly, I think Nate was the first Golden that made me realize I just want Golden Retrievers in my life. I love this ice hockey romance between Anastasia and Nate. All the hockey players in the team and the found family vibes of this team, top tier. The anxiety rep with Anastasia and her hyper planning could relate. Everything about this book was perfection for me. And I have talked about nothing else since I've read this book. I would be remiss to not have Prince Charming on this list because you know I love a retelling and a fairy tale. So I clearly love a Prince Charming guy. So most retellings would work for this prompt. There would be very few that didn't, but I do have a couple that I thought I would point out. A Curse So Dark and Lonely is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It is a series, but you could definitely just read the first one as a standalone. I know the rest of the books have not had the best reviews, but I gave the first one 5 stars. I also gave the second one 5 stars though. So, you know, there you go. I haven't read the last one yet, so I can't speak to that one, but there we are. Then we have the Lunar Chronicles and Prince Kai. I mean, this is obviously a retelling of Cinderella, and all the books are retellings of different fairy tales, but they are interconnected. You do have to read them in order. It's a sci-fi romance retelling of the series. Cinderella is a cyborg. These two have a chance encounter, and obviously she shows up to the ball and he has to find his Cinderella. So I'm actually going to go the other way on this bottom row of the bingo board, and you'll see why as we go through them, why I decided to flip the order in which I talk about them. So for Tortured Soul, I have a couple of recommendations for our love interests who are just tortured for whatever has happened to them in the past. The first one being Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. This is actually in the same world as Sword Heart, and in the timeline, it comes after Sword Heart. But you can definitely read them like not together. You can read them separately. This is the start of a series, but you don't have to read Sword Heart to read this, and you don't have to read that to read that one, if that makes sense. Anyway, this love interest is Stephen, and Stephen is a paladin whose god has died, and this causes him to constantly, well, not constantly, but have the fear of going berserk, and that is explained in the book. But it really causes him to not want to enter or really live his life in any way other than in the temple, kind of devoted to the Temple of the White Rat, who took in the paladins after their gods die. But he then meets a perfumist named Grace, and a lot of things happen to these two. Lots happen, but they also fall in love in the process. I think when we're thinking a tortured soul, Kingfisher definitely comes to mind from Quicksilver. Callie Hart wrote a fantastic fantasy romance in this book. And if you like a heavy fantasy romance and haven't picked this up, please do. It's great. And the love interest, it took a minute for me to get into it. I will say it's the only reason I gave this a 4.5 and not a 5. But like truly, once we settle into this romance, I was full on sold. And book boyfriend material, 100%, like 1000%. Also the magic, I have no notes. I have nothing else to say. So there's a reason I left these last two for last. And the next one is Playboy, which when I fill the bingo board, I am going to read a Playboy romance. I have read some, but I will say not my favorite trope, but I know so many of you love it, so I put it on the board. But to come up with recommendations for a Playboy romance that I enjoyed, I couldn't. But I am going to talk about a couple that I know friends of mine have really loved who do like this trope. So the first one being Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in the series It Happened One Summer. And I liked It Happened One Summer, probably because Brendan is kind of a little golden. Something to think about there. But Fox is for sure a Playboy, and I didn't love this one as much. The Playboy trope really just isn't my favorite, but I am going to try and find one that I like while doing this bingo board. There was another book that I picked up recently, and I did not love this, but I know Kelsey and a few people that I know and love do love this. Neva too, is Consider Me by Becca Mack. This was definitely a Playboy romance from the little bit that I read, and both of them adore this, and they do not mind this trope as much as I do, so that makes sense. Also, it's a hockey romance, and I only read the first 2 chapters. I haven't read the whole book yet. It was part of a try-a chapter, so, you know, maybe if I gave it more of a try, Neva seems to think that if I gave it more of a try, I would like it. Will I do that? I don't know. I'm not committing. But maybe to fill the bingo board, I will. And the last spot on this bingo board is romantic. And I'm not going to give any more recommendations for that spot because realistically, all romances in their way to you can be romantic. What you find romantic may not be what I find romantic. So fill this with your own recommendations. Fill this however you receive romance or how you find that book boyfriend romantic. But those are the 9 spaces on the book boyfriend bingo board. I hope you are excited to give this board a try. I will leave the link to the board and all the graphics down below so that you can print it off and use it and hopefully have fun filling this. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, but don't have anything to say down in the comments, but want to let me know that you were here, leave me the emoji that fits the prompt or the book boyfriend you are most excited to do. I mean, each one of them have their own little graphic. So use that to let me know your emoji down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.